It's good to be with you guys. I'm so happy you're here with us at Admitted Student Week. This is one of my favorite events because it's kind of that point in the semester where we're all excited. Everyone's been accepted to Biola, and now it comes to really that big decision that's coming up. And so in this session, we're going to cover what it looks like to say yes to Biola and move forward with your next steps. Before we get started, I'm going to introduce myself, and then Rachel will introduce herself too. So my name is Emily. I'm one of the admissions counselors for incoming freshmen to Biola. I know I've been working with a few of you already, so I'm happy to see some familiar faces. Also an alumni of Biola. I graduated in 2017. So that's why it always gets me excited to see students who are saying yes to Biola, because I was there not too long ago in your shoes deciding to come to Biola. And I've been here on staff for about 3 years, and I'm originally from Tulare, California. So if I have any Central California students in the house, what is up? That is my hometown area, and I'm happy to see you guys here. Rachel, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Cool, thanks, Emily. So as Emily mentioned, my name is Rachel. I am another one of the admissions counselors here at Biola, and I work more specifically with transfer students. So if you are a transfer student coming from a community college or from a four-year university and considering transferring to Biola, I am one of 3 counselors that you are going to be working with. So excited that you guys are here today. I have been at Biola for a little bit over 2 years now, and I am originally from La Palma, California, which is a really small city. It's near like Buena Park and Fullerton, if you guys have heard of any of those cities, about 15 minutes away from Biola, so really local. I'm glad you guys are here, and we're gonna go ahead and get started with our presentation for today. So the first thing, we'll just remind you once again, if you could take a quick picture of this QR code and fill out the form to just let us know that you are joining us today. You are going to need this later for the AirPod giveaway, and we'll give you all of the instructions for that at the end. And we'll also show you the QR code again at the end in case you miss it. So don't worry too much if you're not able to take a picture right now. And then let me just go over some of the slides and the things that we're going to be going over today so that you kind of have a map and you know what to expect. So the first thing is we are going to go over your My Account, which is the system that Biola uses in order for students to enroll. We're going to go over all of your enrollment tasks that you have to do. We're going to talk about course registration a little bit and how that works at Biola. We're going to introduce you to one of the helpful tools that we have. And then we're also going to talk about preparing financially and how important that is, and just going over some of the details about what that might look like. We're going to go into your next steps and exactly what those steps are going to be for you. And then at the end, we are going to have a time of Q&A. So if you do have any questions that come up as we're talking, feel free to chat them, and we'll definitely try to answer as many of those as we can at the end.
All right, well, now that we know where we're going, let's tackle really the first thing to know, which is your My Account. Before I dive into the logistics of setting up your My Account, logging into it, and moving forward with your tasks, I want to explain a little bit as to what enrollment is, because this can be a term that can actually be really confusing for students, and I get a lot of questions about this. I know Rachel probably does as well. So general thing to know is that enrollment is a process that you'll begin when you submit your enrollment deposit with us at Biola. You'll complete enrollment and you'll be enrolled as a Biola student when you finish your last task on My Account, which is the payment task. And that actually won't happen until August. So we'll begin this enrollment process and you'll finish it when you submit your payment, that last task on your My Account in August. So that's kind of what we'll talk about today, is that big overarching term of enrollment and how that works. Also share a little bit as to like how to set up your My Account and then how to submit your enrollment deposit too. So you've all been accepted. You've gotten an email from us saying, hey, you're admitted. Yes, we're so stoked for you to get accepted. There is a link in here that you'll actually need to click. So when you click this link, you will be able to input your personal email into this first time login portal. This is really important when you're moving forward with actually setting up your My Account. So once you do this, it's going to send you a confirmation email that looks like this. This email actually allows you to create the password for your My Account. So when you're doing this, you'll create the login credentials for your My Account itself. And be sure to do this within 48 hours because this link does expire if you don't complete it within that time. Once you do that, you will be able to, there's your password information right there. Save your password. That's a really key point. I can't tell you how many students I've had to connect with to reset their password just because they didn't remember it or write it down. You will use this for everything at Biola, not just before you enter Biola in the fall. You'll use it as you're here too. So save the password, bookmark My Account. You will use it for everything. So now you've created your login credentials to My Account, then you can actually log in. And this is what the login page looks like. I have the link there for you too, but it's myaccount.biola.edu. One of our counselors, Carol, she always says, when in doubt, My Account. And it's like kind of silly, but I think it helps. When in doubt, My Account. You will do everything through My Account. So now maybe you'll remember that and you'll think of me and Carol and not just a really silly thing to remember. But you set up your My Account, you've logged in. This is what it actually looks like. Your goal in your My Account is to complete every task in here. This includes your incoming student tasks, enrollment tasks, which are located in the middle of the page. You have your student financials tasks, which is that little number 11 on the far left of this page. And then any extra tasks that pop up too. Things will continue to appear throughout the entire summer. So after May 1st, more things will start to pop up. In June, more things will start to pop up. So be sure to continue to check your My Account. Some things to keep in mind is that My Account is sequenced. So you'll need to complete some tasks in order to move forward with the next ones. If you can see on the screen clipping that I have right here, there are some that you can't even click on yet. And that's because the ones prior haven't been completed. So if you find this and you're like, why can't I click on this particular task? It's probably just because you haven't done the one before. My Account also has some tasks that you might have to manually mark as done. So if you run into something like that and it's not letting you move forward with another tasks, it's probably just because you have to mark the one prior as done. So if this happens, be sure to do that. One task in particular that you'll mark as done is like the placement exam area, the register for placement exams. Those ones we do require for you to mark as done manually. So just keep your eye out for these things. Yes. The date to keep in mind for, oh, I'm sorry, let me backtrack. Number one task that you'll do on your My Account to move forward and let us know that you have decided to be a Biola Eagle is submitting your enrollment deposit. If you've already done this, great. That's all you need to do to let us know that you have committed and decided to say yes to Biola. If you haven't done this yet, this is actually the first thing that you'll do. Set up your My Account and submit your enrollment deposit. This deposit is $300 and it actually will be returned to your account when you do begin school in the fall. We don't keep it, it's something that you'll actually get back. So that will confirm your spot and it lets us know that you have decided to attend Biola. This enrollment deposit is due by May 1st. This is a big date to keep in mind. This is our decision deadline, May 1st. So with this date, you'll submit your enrollment deposit. And then if you are dorming on campus, you'll also need to submit your housing deposit by this date. Your housing deposit is $250. Similar to the enrollment deposit, it is something that you'll receive back in your account once you are done living in the dorms on campus. If you're not, rooming on campus, you'll be able to submit your request to commute too. So now that we've gone over the first step on your My Account, which is that enrollment deposit, we'll learn a few more key tasks to complete as you continue through the enrollment process.
Thanks, Emily. So now I'm going to move into course registration, which I know a lot of you guys might have questions about. If you haven't enrolled in any college courses before, you might be a little bit nervous about how that process works and what courses you need to choose. So we do have tasks on your My Account for that. So that's what we're going to go into in this section. So if you are an incoming freshman student, here are the steps that you are going to need to take in order to register for courses for the fall. You're first going to need to submit your registration profile, which I'll go over in the next few slides as well. And then we have an Office of Academic Advising where our academic advisors are going to create your individual course schedule for you. So you actually don't need to worry about that. What you need to worry about is that registration profile and making sure that you are filling that out as detailed and giving as much information as you can there. And then your schedule is going to be available for you to make any adjustments at the time of your time ticket, which you'll be able to view on your My Account as well. If you are an incoming transfer student, coming from another college too, is the same. It does start with the registration profile, and then academic advising, once again, is going to create your course schedule. Now, this is where it differs a little bit for incoming transfer students. Another task that's going to open up on your My Account in just a few weeks is going to be to sign up for a phone advising appointment with academic advising. The reason for that is because transfer students typically have more courses that they're transferring in, so it's a little bit more complicated as they're selecting courses at Biola. We want to make sure that you're not registering for a course that you're already receiving credit for. So that's really important. And then your schedule, once again, is going to be available for you to make any adjustments to that after you have your phone appointment with academic advising. So now I'm going to go into what your registration profile is actually going to look like. So we're back at that home page again, and it's the second one right underneath the enrollment deposit. It says submit a registration profile. This is key. And once you click on submit a registration profile, it's going to take you to this page where it's asking you some questions about the courses that you've taken in high school, questions about your major and some of your preferences when it comes to creating your course schedule for you. So as I mentioned, you want to make sure that you are answering these questions to the best of your ability to make sure that you're really getting the schedule that's appropriate for you. And make sure that you are submitting your registration profile before April 9th, and you are going to be able to receive your course schedule a little bit earlier. Okay, and then the next tool that I want to just go over with you guys real quick is, this is not on the home page, but when you're on your My Account, on the left-hand tab, there's a few different tabs that you can click. And once you click the one that says degree planning, it'll take you to this page, and then you can select where it says degree audit. So what your degree audit is that is a tool that you are going to use throughout your time at Biola. And it's a very useful tool because it outlines all of the courses that you need to take. So up at the top, it starts with your major courses, then it breaks it down into the core curriculum or the GE courses that you need to take. And this that Emily is showing right now, it's the core curriculum section of your degree audit. And the reason why this is important is because I know a lot of you guys, even incoming freshman students, you might have a lot of AP courses that you're transferring in. You might have taken some CLEP exams or even done dual enrollment, and you have some college level courses coming in. And then of course, for transfer students, we want to make sure you're getting credit for those courses that you've completed. Once you send Biola the official transcripts, then the registrar's office is going to evaluate how those are going to transfer and then update your degree audit. So if you want to take a look at how those courses actually transferred in, that is the tool that you want to take a look at.
So good. I use that degree audit still as a graduate student. You guys have access to the degree audit right now, so feel free just to look around and experiment a bit with it. The next kind of section we're going to cover is the student financials tasks. Before I head into this, I want to remind you guys, if you have any questions that are popping up as we go ahead and chat our host, Ashley, and she will make sure that Rachel and I have those questions to answer towards the end of our time. So just be sure to do that as we go. All right, so the student financials tasks on your My Account are arguably probably the most important tasks to complete. I'll go over these tasks in just a minute, but I first want to share a little bit about how to prepare financially for your Biola education. So the first thing actually that you already should be doing right now is applying for scholarships. There are still So many internal scholarships, scholarships within Biola, and then also external scholarships, scholarships outside of Biola that are available at biola.edu/scholarships. We'd love to see you guys apply for all of these, and I would recommend applying to as many as possible. The more you apply to, the more likelihood of receiving something. Scholarship deadlines are starting to creep up a bit, so it's actually very important to start doing this now if you have not already been doing this. If you're in need of additional loans, this is also something to look towards doing, is applying for loans. What I would probably recommend doing is giving yourself time to prepare for this. Private loans can take up to 6 weeks to process, so it's important to begin now so you aren't pressed for time later. We have this really great tool that I have over here for you guys on a QR code, so go ahead and scan that with your camera again, but it's a link to our preferred lender list. It's incredible. It is so helpful because loans can be really overwhelming, especially when there are so many that you can look at. And so this preferred lender tool allows you to compare loans at a glance, look at interest rates, all compared with all different types of lenders. Very helpful. So be sure to look over this and see which ones might be the best option for you if you are looking towards applying for additional loans. We want to make sure that any additional loan that your family applies for is processed and applied to your account before the payment begins in July. So again, me sharing that it takes up to 6 weeks to process. We want to make sure to give you ample time to allow for processing and having it actually applied to your account. So start now so everything can be ready and good to go before July begins. Third thing to just kind of consider as you're preparing financially is when the bill becomes available. I get this question a lot, like how much does it cost for me to attend? Your admissions counselor can help you estimate that and go over your financial aid letter with you. So if you haven't already met with your admissions counselor, book a virtual appointment with us. You can just do that on biola.edu/visit. I'll share a slide kind of sharing a little more about that. But you also will have a bill that is released to your My Account in July. It's a task that will appear. The very last task, like I mentioned, is your payment task. And in here, you'll be able actually to see all the information when it comes to your bill. You'll be able to select a payment plan option that works for your family, and the payment plans begin in either July or August, depending on what payment plan you select. So there's the 3 things to keep in mind, and maybe connect with either your admissions counselor like myself and Rachel to talk more about these things, but applying for scholarships, looking towards loans, and then preparing for that payment that will be due in either July or August. Okay, so as you're preparing financially, it's important to begin completing your student financials tasks on your My Account. More than likely, since you've been accepted to Biola, you've already been offered some sort of financial aid in the form of scholarships, grants, loans. This is awesome. We want you to receive all of these things, but we also want to make sure that everything that has been offered to you is actually applied to your account at Biola. To do this, we'll need you to complete all of your student financials tasks located on the far left-hand side of your My Account main page. Once you click on this area, your tasks will appear. You'll need to complete all of your tasks in order to have your financial aid, those are scholarships, grants, loans, actually applied to your account here at Biola. So to give you all that free money, we got to make sure all of these things are finalized. Some things to keep in mind as you're looking at your student financials tasks is that every student has different student financials tasks because they are unique to you as a student, and they're unique to you because your FAFSA is different than someone else's as well if you did choose to file a FAFSA. Most tasks don't take too long to complete either. I would say a majority of them, and nearly all of them, you can probably complete them all in one sitting. They're really not too difficult to complete. If you get stuck on anything, that's when you reach out to your admissions counselor, call, text, email them, and we can help you with that. If you don't know who your admissions counselor is, let us know. We want to make sure you guys know who to connect with if they haven't reached out to you already. The one task that takes a bit longer to complete is the verification task. So this is the one that I have highlighted on this page for you. If you have this task on your My Account, you need to work towards completing this as soon as you're able. If you have this task, it means that our financial aid office needs to verify some of your information on your FAFSA. So this process can take a number of weeks to make sure that we have all the information verified. And it's specific to students. So there's really no way for me to estimate how long it will take for you to complete this. So I would recommend working on this as soon as possible because yeah, it just can take a really long time. And then again, if you're having any technical issues or you're stuck on anything or something just like doesn't make sense, please reach out to us. We want to make sure that you're feeling confident as you're moving forward with this enrollment process. And these tasks, although they don't take too much time, they can be a bit tricky. So we want to make sure we support you as we're moving forward with completing enrollment.
Great. So that was so helpful, Emily. Breaking down financial aid is so important because that can be like the most difficult process, but it really does not need to be. So as Emily continued to mention, reaching out to your admissions counselor is just the greatest resource that you have right now because we do this with every single student. So if you get stuck on something, definitely reach out to us. So I'm just going to break down the steps that we actually went over in this presentation so that you know exactly what you need to do if you do want to say yes to Biola. So the very first thing is going to be to log in and become familiar with your My Account. So Emily mentioned this is the platform that you're going to be using throughout your time at Biola every single time that you need to enroll year after year. So make sure that you're really familiar with that page. And then next would be to submit your enrollment deposit, which is a $300 deposit that is due by May 1st. And this just lets us know that you are going to be enrolling at Biola in the fall semester. And then the third step is to submit your registration profile. This is key for getting your courses for the fall semester. And it just allows our academic advising team to start working on your course schedule. And then the very last step is to prepare financially. So make sure that you have an idea of what your financial aid package looks like. Take a look at all of the financial tasks that you need to complete and make sure that you are well prepared for that first payment that's going to come up in either July or August for you, depending on the payment plan that you decide. But we want to make sure that you're not doing all of this, in August, but we're starting early at the end of March, beginning of April, so that you have a few months to complete all of these different steps. So now we are going to move on into a time of Q&A. So if you have been chatting in your questions, that is perfect. We're just going to go ahead and answer as many of those as we can for today. So let me take a look at some of the questions that have been asked. You can definitely continue to ask questions as well. So the first question that we got is regarding signing into My Account. Should you use a parent email or a student email? So that's a really great question. I'm going to let Emily take this one.
Yeah, the My Account is something that a student will log into. And honestly, it's an account that the student should be doing most of the things on with the support of maybe some of you as family. You will need the email that you used on your application itself. So be sure to use that email in particular, because that's the one that we will recognize. Oh, it's the student who is now submitting their My Account login credentials. So use your application email and then you can move forward from there. When you are on your My Account, you will learn how to use your Biola email, and then that will be a good form of contact from there on out. All right, here, I'll give you this next question, Rachel. Are parents given access to our child's My Account?
Yeah, so good question. Unfortunately, parents are not given access, and that we don't have a separate parent login or parent portal. I do know that some students, if they do want that assistance from their family, they can share their net ID and their password to log in. We obviously don't recommend sharing your password with anybody that you don't know, but if it is your parent and you want them to take a look at the financial aid package, or if they're helping you out with a task, you can definitely just share that student net ID and that password, and you guys can take a look at it together. But do keep in mind, this is for the student.
Yeah. And one thing to add too, that as well. When you are nearing that payment task, that very last task that you'll do, this is a different system that you'll use to actually submit payments. Rachel and I made a tutorial video about this last year, so you can find that on our Biola demand website, but your student can make you an authorized user on the account. So that will be a great tool for you to be able to see financial information and really what the balance looks like, make payments, and kind of all of those things as well.
Let's see, next question. Does registration change if you want to do Smart Start summer classes? So I could take this one. If you haven't heard of Smart Start, this is an opportunity that we have for our admitted students as well. If you want to get a head start on a few of the GE courses or the Bible courses that you're going to be expected to take at Biola, we have a program where you're able to take these courses online through Biola at a reduced rate. So definitely check out Smart Start at Biola. But if you do take Smart Start courses, it is going to change your course registration because we want to make sure that you're not actually enrolling in those same courses. So I would say it's going to be important to make sure that you're connecting with your academic advisor or your admissions counselor just to make sure that you are not repeating and enrolling in the same course over the Smart Start summer semester and the fall semester as well. We want to make sure that you are actually getting a head start. So yeah, good question. It is going to change a little bit. Next question. In the town hall, Biola mentioned having an app. Could you explain that? I'm going to give this one to Emily.
Yes, Biola launched a super cool app this past year for our students. This will become available to you, I believe after May 1st, you can move forward with downloading it because then you'll kind of be heading towards becoming an enrolled Biola student. But this is actually a great way to connect with other students, be a part of clubs on campus. We've been doing clubs meeting, all of our extracurricular stuff this past year for our students. So it's pretty cool. A great place to kind of see all the information that you would need in regards to Biola. So you'll have access to that soon. You can find it in the App Store through Apple, Android, you know, it's everywhere. So go ahead and download it. You guys can begin kind of messing around with it and seeing what's there. We don't use that app in particular for admissions. I would say if you're wanting to connect with prospective students right now or other accepted students, the app ZeeMe is probably going to be the best fit for you right now. And it's a really great one to download. It's just spelled ZeeMee. We have a lot of stuff going on there. Every now and then we do trivia nights. It's usually a lot of fun. Good question. Hey, Rachel, got a question for you. Can you share again when the deadline is for the initial enrollment deposit?
Yeah, so for the enrollment deposit and the housing deposit, if you are planning on living on campus, the deadline is May 1st. So we have about a month before May 1st where you can take some time, take a look at your financial aid package and weigh some things out before you make that final decision. So that $300 enrollment deposit is going to secure your spot and let us know that you're coming in the fall. And then I'll also take this next question. For out-of-state students, do we need to be concerned with things like the IGETC or the CSU General Education Breadth Program found on the registration profile? So this is a good question. You might be a little bit concerned when you see that on your registration profile and you don't know what that is. This is really in particular for in-state California students who are coming from a community college. So if that's not you and you've never heard of the IGETC or the CSU Breadth before, don't worry about it. You can just mark no when it asks you, are you pursuing either of these plans? These are just different pathways that community colleges have to make transferring your GE courses a little bit easier. But as I mentioned, totally don't need to worry about it if you've never heard of it before. Next question. How would you advise students who are deciding between Tory Honors or just doing regular general education courses? Emily, do you want to take this one?
Of course. Tory Honors is such a good program to look towards, and Biola in general is as well. So, Yeah, it's a tough decision, I would say. My best recommendation and what I've been telling a lot of the students that I've been working with is to actually connect with one of our Tory representatives. They meet with students often virtually, so we can always set something up through phone call or through Zoom. I'd probably recommend emailing tory.admissions@biola.edu. On their email signature, they have a booking site that you can book an appointment with them. So I'd probably recommend doing that. I will say both are really great options. My second recommendation would probably be to connect with your admissions counselor so we can make sure that everything is the right fit for you when it comes to maybe AP classes that you're bringing in or transferring credit from different places. But I will say they're both really great. I think it's more along the lines of what type of learning style is going to be the best fit for you. Yes. So there's kind of an introductory answer, but I can definitely go more in depth with that. So yeah, talk to your admissions counselor. They can probably help guide you from there. Good question.
Sure. I would just add to that, they were also asking, this has to be decided before doing the registration profile. The answer is yes, because it is going to affect your class schedule. You want to make that decision, or if you've been accepted to Tory already, you want to make your decision of if you're going to commit or not before submitting your registration profile, so we know that we're putting you in the right courses, either for the Tory curriculum or for the regular GE curriculum.
Yeah, that's good, Rachel. Okay, I got a question that I'll pass off to you. When will scholarships be applied to my account? Will it be before the August payment is due?
Yeah, good question. So the short answer is it depends on the scholarship, right? If it's a scholarship that is coming from Biola University, so for instance, your academic scholarship that you might have been awarded upon your acceptance, that is going to be applied automatically to your bill, definitely before the bills are sent out in July. But for any other scholarships, let's say it's an outside scholarship that's coming in, it does depend on the outside scholarship, right? So you want to make sure that they're sending that information to Biola so we can make sure to apply that to your financial aid. And then any other scholarships, they should be applied to your account before your bill as well, but do make sure that you are completing all of the financial aid tasks in order for your bill to look totally accurate. Once you've cleared everything on there, you don't need to worry and everything will be applied. Let's see, next question.
You guys have such good questions today. I love it.
You do. How do you apply for a dorm or select a roommate? Emily, do you want to take this one?
Of course. Okay, so on your My Account, when you submit your enrollment deposit, new tasks will begin to show up. So when you first log in, you won't see it yet, but when you submit your enrollment deposit, then these new tasks will pop up. And one of them is your housing application and your housing task or request to commute if that's what you're choosing to do. So when you click into that task, that's where you'll be able to actually apply to live in the dorms on campus. They're going to ask you a lot of questions about yourself, like living habits, if you're a night person, if you're a morning person, a lot of things just to get to know you better. The cool thing about the housing application and roommate selection process is that nothing is really random within Biola. We actually have people who will read through your application and hand pair you with someone else. It's a really cool process that they do. It's not a computer that is matching you with someone. If you do have a roommate that you have already met, I know a lot of our students are now starting to meet each other on social media, which was definitely not how it was when I was entering into Biola. But if this is you, you already have someone in mind that you want to room with, in your housing application, you will have the option to put their information if you have someone specific you'd like to live with. So that's kind of what it looks like. Like I shared, everything is done on your My Account. So when in doubt, My Account. Okay, I'll ask one for you, Rachel. After making deposits for registration and housing, I'm assuming probably enrollment and housing deposit, the X, you know, that little X didn't go away. It didn't become a check mark for my Account task. Is this right? Is this weird?
Yeah, that's a really good question as well. You might expect that like when you click the payment that that's going to switch automatically, but this is actually a manual process where we have somebody in our admissions operations team who checks to make sure that the payment went through, and then they're going to mark that task as done. So it does take a little bit of time, I would say, between a few hours. I would give it up to a day before you start freaking out and wondering if your enrollment deposit didn't go through. Typically, once you click on that task, it turns yellow. So it won't be red anymore, but it will be yellow. So you know that you did click on the right place. And then within a day, it should change into a green check mark. If it doesn't, then you can definitely check in with your admissions counselor just to make sure that everything has been processed. But if it doesn't switch automatically, no need to panic at that exact moment. Let's see. Next question that I can take is there a deadline for registering for placement exams, specifically chemistry and physics, and what should we expect? So another really great question. So for placement exams, this depends on your major, which placement exams you're actually going to be required to take. But if you're majoring in a STEM major, you are most likely going to be required to take a chemistry and a physics exam. There is no set deadline that you need to complete these placement exams by, but keep in mind that it is going to affect your course schedule, right? Whether you pass the exam or not. So you want to make sure that you are doing that as soon as possible, obviously making sure that you are well prepared for the exam in advance. So where you go to sign up, it's an online exam. And I believe once you sign up, they will email you the link to the exam in a day or 2 days. So you're going to be able to take that. And if you've taken, let's say, like a chemistry course at your high school or a physics course, you might feel well prepared to take the exam. It is just making sure that you are being placed in the right level of science course. So do make sure that you're doing that as soon as possible when you feel prepared. And if you go to our website and you just search like placement exams Biola, you're going to be able to see a link where it says what to prepare for your exam. So that's a really helpful tool as well that I would recommend you guys to check out. Next question, when is the deadline for completing all of your My Account tasks? Emily, I'm going to give this one to you.
Yeah, so the deadline to complete all of your My Account tasks is really that deadline of when the payment is due. So at the beginning of August, within the first couple of weeks, that's when you're going to hit the deadline for completing all of your tasks. There may be some that you complete a little bit after, but they're not going to affect your enrollment. So that could be like our orientation task that appears on your My Account, but all enrollment tasks and student financials tasks, they all need to be complete before your first payment is due. Good question. Okay, Rachel, I'll hand this one off to you. How do you get in contact with your academic advisor?
Yeah, good questions. So many good questions tonight. Thank you guys so much. I think this is going to have to be our last question of the night, unfortunately, because we do want to give you the details for the giveaway as well before we close for the night. So the question was, how do you get in contact with your academic advisor? So a few different ways that you can do this. First, you don't need to get in contact with your academic advisor right now because you need to do the registration profile first, and that is sending information to your academic advisor. If you have a specific question for academic advising about course registration, I would encourage you to hold off a little bit until you submit your registration profile and your course schedule has been finalized. So once you can take a look at that, I think you'll have a better idea. And then I think at that point, if you want to connect with advising, you could email them at academic advising, or you could give them a call and you can get in touch with an academic advisor that way. If you are a transfer student, as I mentioned, there is going to be a task on your My Account where you need to schedule an appointment with your academic advisor. So that will direct you to that form as well. So thank you guys so much for all of the great questions. I'm sorry we weren't able to answer all of them, but definitely feel free to reach out to your admissions counselor if you still have a pressing question.